Okay, so the first thing that we need to do is create a list that's going to hold all of the Doge prices. So the first thing that we're going to do is create an array called Doge list or Doge prices, and we'll set it equal to an empty array. Okay. Now, once we do that, we need a way of getting the most recent Dogecoin price. Okay. And thankfully, we've already imported client in our last trading bot. And what this client allows us to do is interact with the Binance API. And by doing that, we can use Binance's data and we can use all their features in order to implement it inside of our trading bot. Okay. So to get the data, we can look at the documentation, but I'm sure you guys know how to do that now. So what we're going to do is we're going to implement this function called client.get historical K-lines. And so K-lines is simply the trading candlestick. So whenever you see K-line, think candlestick, okay? Next, we're going to pass in our trade symbol, which I think for now is Bitcoin to USDT. Next is we need to do client dot K-line interval, and this is a enumeration, so we're using this from the enumeration package or part of Binance. Oh, sorry. And then next we need to specify a string, and the string is just 5 minutes ago. Okay, and this goes and coincides with this 5-minute candlestick that we specified there. Okay, and we also need to specify the time zone, and this is UTC, and this is just following the documentation. Okay, so this is essentially getting the 5-minute candlesticks for our trade symbol. And so we can set this to a variable called K-lines, or let's do candles. Okay, and then we can essentially just print candles. And let's comment this out for now because we don't need this and we don't want to put any orders in. Let's also comment this out so we don't see that. Comment this out, okay? So we're just commenting out all of our print statements so that we can analyze this candles, okay? And so we're just going to print it out when the sentiment polarity does not equal neutral. There's a space here, I should fix that. But here you can see that we're getting the most recent prices for Bitcoin. And so this value here is the open, the second value, open, high, low, close, okay? So these are the 4 values that we'll be paying attention to in our list. But the one that we'll be extracting is this open price. And so we want the open price because it moves less compared to these ones. So there might be a high. And since we only want the 5-minute candlesticks, I figured through trial and error that this is the value that we want, okay? So to access that value, what we need to do is we need to go inside this list. So you can notice that it's a list within a list. And so we need the first element in this list within a list, right? So let's do this. Let's just get the last element in our candles array. And so that's going to extract the last element in our candles array, right? And so here you can see that we got rid of a square bracket, and that means we are getting closer to extracting our value. And as I said, we want this element right here. And so this is 0, 1. Okay, so we want the 1th element in our list. So we can do 1. And so we're going to extract that value there. And here you go. Okay, cool. So we're extracting the value, and that's exactly what we want. So what we can do now is we can put some logic where, actually, no, we don't have to. Actually, yeah, we do need to do that, okay? So what we need to do is we need to put some logic where if the last element that we got is the same, here, let me write it out and you will understand it. So we're going to start with if len of Doge prices equals to 0. So if there's no element in our Doge prices array, then we want to append, okay? We want to append our float of candles, -1, and 1. Okay, so this is going to append our data to our array. Okay, so now we need an elif statement, and this is what I was talking about. What we want is elif Doge prices -1 does not equal float of candles. So we're typecasting it to float, if you're unfamiliar with that. So we typecast it to float, and we extract the -1 and 1 value. Okay, so what we're checking here is if the last value of Doge prices does not equal the last value of our candle price, then we want to append it. Okay, so we'll just copy and paste that. Okay, so as you can see, to explain further, we continuously get data, right? But we don't want to continuously add this data to our RSI indicator because it won't function the way it's supposed to function. It's only functioning on the 5-minute open prices. Okay, so we need to make sure that we don't continuously append the same value. So by doing this statement here, we are essentially checking, or this statement here, we are essentially checking if the last price of Doge does not equal the last price of our candles, then we want to append it. And so in this case, where our last value of Doge did not equal this value, then we are appending this value. And then in this case, we don't append this value because the last value is this value. So it's just a way of having unique values in our Doge prices array. Okay, so after that, we can do print, and we can print, let's grab these stars because I do like the stars. We could say length of prices list is, and then we can append our len, and we do need to typecast it to string because it is in a print statement. And so we can do Doge prices. And so that's going to tell us the length of our prices list. And I hope you understand why we're doing this. Okay, so what's going on here? So object of type bool has no len. Okay, so that's because we need to fix this. Okay, so you can see that we're continuously getting the last open prices for BTC, and our length of the prices list is 1. And so I'll keep this running, but once the 5-minute candlestick closes, you'll notice that this increments by 1, and this value here changes, and we've successfully implemented our Doge price array. And so now what we can do is implement our RSI technical indicator on these values, and we do require at least 14 values in this list. So in the next video, we'll start implementing our RSI, and so I'll see you there.